This is crazy, but Sydney Sweeney's newest movie just became one of the biggest box office flops of all time.
The new Sydney Sweeney movie, Box Office Bupkis.
So Sydney Sweeney's movie Christy ended up flopping, and that's not really surprising to me because she built up a fan base of right-wing incel losers.
Like, she had an interview the other day where the interviewer asked her if she'd like to denounce white supremacy and racism, and Sydney Sweeney dodges the question. She's like, yeah, if there's an issue I care about, you'll know. Like, that's an insane answer.
Apparently, her new MAGA fan base didn't show up in droves to see a biopic about a lesbian professional boxer who overcomes domestic violence to live her truth. Who could have seen that coming?
Why the fuck would I watch a movie where you're playing a lesbian buff boxer when you're coming onto the internet talking in interviews like you're a brain dead fuck ass racist?
Hello everyone, I'm Kayla Says, and welcome to Jackass.
Today I want to give an update on a name that seems rather inescapable. We've talked about Sydney Sweeney on this channel before. In fact, if you saw this video a few months back, yes, you're not crazy, I am the same person. But since that original controversy kicked off, and of course I'm referring to that American Eagle jeans ad,
genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
A few things have happened, and personally I've seen a lot of confusion online about what's real about this story, what's bullshit, what's misinformation, so let's grab our shovels and dig through together, shall we?
So Sydney has sort of been everywhere lately, in Central Park with Scooter Braun doing staged pap photos, rocking the classic Fox News bob, being a bit more outspoken on social media following that period of time over the summer where she had to lay low due to the aforementioned American Eagle firestorm, and she's been a bit more visible lately because she has a new movie out called Christy.
I keep thinking of the people who will watch this and say, how does a woman who's so powerful, how is she not able to stand up for herself at home?
I know that people think that, but I didn't have that same type of mental strength to overtake him.
Christy is a sports biopic that follows the real-life story of boxer Christy Martin. Martin was the first ever woman signed to a promotional contract with boxing promoter Don King. She was also elected to the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2020, and she has a really harrowing personal journey with domestic abuse. In 2010, Martin was stabbed, shot, and left for dead by her trainer and then husband of 19 years, James Martin, portrayed by Ben Foster in the film. The real-life Christy Martin is also a passionate LGBTQ community advocate, and she is married to a woman. If you're in award season circles, Sydney Sweeney's performance as Christy in this film has been the subject of conversation for quite a while now. People have been debating whether or not her performance could land her somewhere in Oscar contention, both for the performance itself and the transformational aspect of the role, the weight gain and the fact that Sydney looks completely different while portraying her. I remember conversations around this happening earlier this year, as early as January or February. And then
Okay, let's put on our thinking caps, right? Was Christy ever going to be this massive blockbuster that outpaced all of the projections and expectations for it? No, probably not. But I do think this controversy definitely dissuaded some people from seeing the film, and I'll give you an example. This is the type of movie that is not playing in every single theater nationwide here in the US, but it is playing on a select number of big screens in bigger hubs that can afford to screen these kind of smaller budget movies. I happen to live in New York City. Our closest theater is AMC Lincoln Square, and we get a lot of these special releases that other people don't get, and we go to see them pretty often. I remember seeing advertisements on my AMC app for this film, and I probably would have been more inclined to see it had this controversy not happened. Not that I made a point to actively boycott it, but with all of the films coming out in the last couple months, it just kind of slowly fell down my list in a way that it maybe wouldn't have had that controversy not happened. I was not eager to see Sydney Sweeney in anything. I'm sure that was the case with a lot of people who would have gone to see this movie, but the whole American Eagle controversy, no matter what you think about it, left a bad taste in their mouths. And that's not to mention the people who were actively taking a stand and boycotting it.
Now, conversations surrounding the box office and its relationship to the quality of a film are a little cumbersome and have to be nuanced, and quite frankly, they are rather annoying if handled by the wrong people. But typically, if a movie like this is just making headlines based on how little money it made alone, that's not a great sign for awards chances. And of course, the internet wasted no time dunking on Sydney Sweeney for this, pointing out the rather obvious fact that the new fan base that she has courted over the last few months is not exactly going to turn out for a biopic about a lesbian boxer who was a victim of domestic abuse.
Okay, so Sydney Sweeney has responded to all of this, but before we get there, I have to address a couple of bizarre tangents. The first one I've been seeing is that the Daily Mail is currently reporting that Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney are beefing on the set of Euphoria, which is crazy to me that we're talking about Euphoria in almost 2026 as of recording this. I don't think this is real. I would take everything that the Daily Mail says with a grain of salt. It could be real, but I don't think it's really anything to, get enraged over right now. The next tangent that I need to address is this meme kind of going viral on Twitter right now, where big Twitter users are claiming that Sydney Sweeney's PR is reaching out to them for being critical of this movie. I'll read what this statement looks like and then we'll talk about it.
Hi Eric, would you please mind updating the headline for us to say that despite low box office, the audience has spoken? We are 99% positive on the popcorn meter. Box office aside, this one's a win in all the ways that matter. We're so proud to back independent cinema and share a story that genuinely deserves to be seen. So if you just saw this while you were scrolling and you happen to take it at face value, that's totally fine, but after some digging, this is fake. The folks posting this are just kind of like joining in on a mutual meme. But the other crazy thing that happened here is that Ruby Rose, who has her own insane lore, went on a rant about this situation on Threads of all places.
Okay, this is my last tangent, and perhaps the most irrelevant, but I need to talk about it. I need to say my truth. Speaking of Ruby Rose, who, to my knowledge, did Orange is the New Black, and then did some CW show, and then that CW show got canceled. I'm not familiar with anything else that she has been in since that time. But does anyone remember when Orange is the New Black was like peak zeitgeist in like 2014, 2015, and there was this phenomenon online where every straight girl from your high school would be tweeting like, oh my god, I've never ever been interested in women ever, but Ruby Rose is so hot. Like, that was weird, right? And like, maybe I also participated in this trend. I honestly couldn't tell you, I can't remember, but it was like everybody. It was every single girl that I went to high school with being like, I would give it up for Ruby Rose. Just as if it was like a really shared like common experience, and maybe it was, but I felt like it was so specific. And then there was like discourse that followed about that being, cringy or whatever. But like, I just need to know if that was the case in your high school, if you went to high school around the same time that I did, because like, what a weird moment in culture, right? Like, how strange. How bizarre.
The original Christy Martin script was incredible, life-changing. I was attached to play Cherry. Everyone had experience with the core material. Most of us were actually gay. It's part of why I stayed in acting. Losing roles happens all the time. For her PR to talk about it flopping and saying SS did it for the people, none of the people want to see someone who hates them parading around pretending to be us. You're a cretin and you ruin the film. Period. Christy deserved better. So yeah, that's just a really bizarre side character to enter the plot line here, but anyway, Sydney Sweeney herself has spoken out about her participation in the film following this box office news, saying, quote, "If Christy gave even one woman the courage to take her first step towards safety, then we will have succeeded. So yes, I'm proud. Why? Because we don't always just make art for numbers, we make it for impact."
So the interesting thing to me about this is that without this controversy, I'm sure some folks online would have been more inclined to defend her, especially considering that prior to American Eagle Gate, Sydney Sweeney was the ire of a lot of these right-wing men who are now uplifting her because they were claiming that she wasn't attractive or whatever. So without this controversy, I'm sure the culture of folks who would have liked to have seen this movie because it's more progressive coded would have been more defensive of its box office performance. And you know, there are still some people who think in a very gray area about this. They don't think that Sydney Sweeney did any of this intentionally, that American Eagle kind of dropped the ball, or that people are reading too much into this ad. So surely, if she had the opportunity to speak for herself, if she got a softball question from a reporter essentially asking her to disavow white supremacy, she would do it, right? Like, you'd think that would be just, even if she doesn't personally believe it, like good optics. Like, optics-wise, that would be a good thing to do. Well,
The criticism of the content, which was basically that, maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
I discussed this topic on my stream yesterday, and I had a few people, some in good faith, some in bad, pushing back on the idea that Sydney has to condemn anything and that a lot of this controversy has just been projected onto her. She didn't really do anything. But I would argue that if a particular sect of the internet that spends all of their time comparing photos of you to various random left-wing aligned women as a meme, gloms onto you and constantly defends you as their Aryan goddess, and you don't at the very least try to dispel the notion that you disavow those people during a softball question in an interview, you kind of don't deserve the benefit of the doubt anymore. I'm sure Sydney is proud of this movie, and there's no doubt that Christy Martin's story deserves to be told and represented. But, and this is discounting how you may feel about her personally, she kind of shot herself in the foot in both directions by embracing this new fan base after this controversy, whether or not you think that she really personally had anything to do with it, or if it was all just projection from the left or whatever. Because the majority of her fan base is now gross weirdos who like to get into debates with people on twitter.com, and they're not going to turn out to see a movie like this, and the people who would have otherwise turned out to see a movie like this are turned off by the fact that this is Sydney Sweeney's fan base now. At the end of my last Sydney Sweeney video, where I discussed the origin of this controversy, I ended it by saying, it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. And Sydney Sweeney, whether intentional or not, may have don't say'd her way into alienating the people who otherwise maybe would have been passionate about the work that she's passionate about. And if you still think that she shouldn't have had to say anything or condemn anyone, which is, I'm sure, the opinion that she still has, unfortunately, that's just not the way the world works anymore, dude.
Introducing the South Park Sucks Now cryptocurrency coin. This used to be a great town before all the politics came and ruined it all. Get in on our crypto meme coin with this incredible pre-sale offer.
I've been thinking a lot recently about this interview with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park. If you're unfamiliar, South Park is currently running on Paramount right now, and they're leaning very heavily into the politics of the day, more so than they have in previous seasons, making fun of and parodying the most ridiculous aspects of the Trump administration. The reactions to this online have been rather mixed, with some people loving it and some people saying that they're tired of the more political aspects of the satirization of South Park. So much so that in their most recent episode, as of recording this video, they parodied that sentiment directly by addressing the South Park Sucks Now criticism in a very meta way. When asked about this in an interview with the New York Times, Parker and Stone explained, it's not that we got all political, it's that politics became pop culture. And the thing is that they're right. When this whole American Eagle situation happened, the White House commented on it in defense of Sydney Sweeney. In the old days, celebrities had the benefit of being quiet. We didn't have to know their every thought and position on everything. And politics used to be more invisible as it related to popular culture. You didn't have to know Donald Trump's opinion on the latest pop culture controversy of the day, and the White House didn't have to make official statements on bullshit that doesn't matter. But now they do, because he's a reality TV show president. He used to spend his time tweeting about Kristen Stewart in Twilight. You don't think that effect trickles down to everywhere else? Is it annoying for all of these celebrities to have to constantly proclaim where they stand on every single issue, otherwise people will uncharitably assume things about them? Probably, but given the fact that the White House is so eager to co-opt everything in the culture war, it's kind of an inevitability. Just this week, Olivia Rodrigo pulled her song from Instagram because ICE was using it in some kind of recruitment ad, which she then loudly decried as racist propaganda. So obviously, we now know where she stands on the issue because ICE made it an issue. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is posting videos using Taylor Swift songs in the background, and to my knowledge, as of recording this video, she hasn't said anything, so we don't know where she stands on the issue. The issue is going to constantly be forced as long as this administration is in charge because they weaponize the culture war to their advantage. It's a mechanism that constantly puts these celebrities in a position that they weren't previously in, to the point where, while staying silent 10 to 15 years ago would have been the correct way to go as to not alienate anybody in their fan base, staying silent now is regarded as apathy or endorsement. And a lot of these famous people, Sydney Sweeney included, are just not ready and have never been ready to meet that kind of moment. But the moment is going to constantly steamroll them over and over and over again until there's nothing left.
Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'm gonna say it one more time in case you'd missed the announcement in the last couple of videos. We are now available wherever you get your podcasts. That means that an audio format of the show is now available both on Spotify and on Apple Music / Apple Podcasts. So if you prefer to listen in an audio format, that is now available for you. Before I go, let me know what your favorite movie of the year has been so far, or just a film that you recently really enjoyed. I just watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and I thought it was great. Thanks so much.